I'm thrilled to introduce Tina and Chris. Tina as a medical intuitive and Chris as a practitioner in naturopathy. Their studies together include orthomolecular medicine, epigenetics, gene expression, and stem cell therapies. Between them, they have over 50 years combined experience in natural alternative healthcare, and they incorporate the latest in the world of anti-aging and energy medicine in their formulations and bring together these technologies in products like StemRenu. And I'm sure StemRenu has helped you in your 40 different cities that you've just been in China. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Chris and Tina. And Chris and Tina, it's just such a pleasure to have you on. And I know there's loads of people out there listening.
Oh, thank you so much, Sonia. It's so great to be here.
Yes, thank you, Sonia. It's exciting. And like you said, we just returned from Asia. And boy, it's just so incredible over there. These countries are just discovering their wealth and their technologies. And their real challenge now is to deal with their health. You know, the stress from the urban pollution and the hustle and bustle in these incredible, huge cities with millions of people is a challenge. So we're excited to introduce the future of nutrition and medicine. It's regenerative medicine. It's the 21st century, you know, coming to us right now. And we're going to get started here with what we're going to share with you here.
Yes, and Sonia, you asked the question, how did you do it? How do we get our energy? And we take a lot of the NHT products, but we take a lot of StemRenu. So I think at one point I was up to 8 a day for a few of those. Yeah, just to be able to keep up. So you mentioned, you know, we're natural medicine doctors, you know, and our focus has always been on longevity, well-being. Dr. Chris and I are always looking for what is the next best thing that's going to help us keep our youth. So with StemRenu, we've been, you know, sourcing all of the best ingredients in our practice, you know, when we were in Minnesota from all around the world. And we decided that by working with our patients, our clients, with individual ingredients, it just wasn't doing the things that we wanted to do. So we developed StemRenu. So we believe that, you know, you don't have to get sick and die young and get some disease that's out there and take all these medications. That's not where we come from. We come from a place where we believe that you can, you know, experience youth, vitality, and longevity to up to at least 120 years old. And so we're going to talk about how everyone on this webinar can do that.
As you can see in the photo, we give the example of the skin. You have the hand of the baby, and think of this as the same person in their 70s or 80s. And even though the same exact instructions, information is in every skin cell, you can see how different the skin of the baby looks from the skin of the elderly person. And the difference is the signaling and the communication. The body has the ability to design and orchestrate what it's doing, and this signaling and communication is what breaks down, and we designed StemRenu to enhance that. We designed StemRenu to be able to not only increase the communication between the cells, but also enhance the receptor sites, and we'll show you some examples of that. But as you have that ability to increase that, you facilitate the regeneration and repair. So to give you an example, let's look at the chart. We're born, and by age 20, 21, we've developed completely. We're fully mature. We're going to be as tall as we're going to be. Our organs are as developed as they're going to be. And actually, that's when we start to age. So the development is done. And then here's where stress and the challenges of life start suppressing the signaling. And we think if we can live to be 80 plus years, we're pretty fortunate, and we've lived a long life. But the potential is far greater. You can live happy and healthy into the hundreds. You know, 120 is definitely possible. So here's what we're going to show you how to do that.
And, you know, we'd like to show you the visual of the skin because, you know, we can see the difference there between the aging. However, this also happens internally. And this happens with our heart, with our lungs, with our kidneys, and all the systems. And as we begin to renew, you know, we can renew as though we're young with StemRenu, internally all the way to externally. Now, one of the things that I'd like to mention before we get too far down is that we were working with our patients, and one of the patients that was very important to us was my Uncle Richard, and at that time he was 70 years old. And you know, he had, like Dr. Chris had mentioned, he had already started to lose and suppress some of his signaling, some of his systems, and he was experiencing symptoms. And his symptoms were tremors, depression, anxiety. He couldn't pour coffee without spilling on the counter. He was taking 7 medications. He was becoming progressively worse. And we were working with all these individual ingredients in our practice to help him. And he was actually not progressing as fast as the doctors thought, because he had a very aggressive situation. And so we started to give him StemRenu, and he took 1 capsule. And we're going to talk about why he had such a great experience a little bit further down. But get this, after 1 capsule, he was able to pour a cup of coffee and without spilling on the counter. This was incredible to us. His depression started to lift. His anxiety melted away. He was able to reduce his medications down to 1. He is now 76 years old.
6 years later, right?
6 years later, after we started working with him with these ingredients. And it's so wonderful to see. He has a girlfriend of 3 years now. His tremors have subsided. He can go out into public, he golfs, and he just enjoys his life again. So we knew we had something very special when we took all of the ingredients we were working with and synergistically combined them to create StemRenu.
Well, let's take a look at it at the most foundational level, here at the level of the cell. This is a cross-section of a cell, and to give you an example of what we're talking about is, on the surface there, these are the receptor sites. This is what StemRenu is designed to do, to repair or rebuild and enhance these receptor sites. And there's thousands of them on every cell. And as they, you know, break down or get destroyed, this is where the signaling stops. And also, we enhance the signaling. There's 100,000 signals per second going on in every cell. So you can see this incredible orchestration going on. So when you have a formula that has the ability to enhance the signaling and increase the receptivity of those signals with repairing and rebuilding those receptor sites, you get the healthy functioning of the cell back. And this is what it's all about. Think of StemRenu. If you had to describe it to someone, it's an architect. It has the ability to design and repair the body, and also it specifically has the ingredients that enhance the signaling in the body. The signaling, you know, in medicine we call them cytokines for the immune system, hormones for the endocrine system, neurotransmitters for the nervous system. But these are just fancy names for signal molecules. And believe it or not, StemRenu enhances every one of these systems for their signaling. And this is why we build back the cellular communication and the cellular function.
So when you repair the body's cells, it repairs the tissues, then it repairs the organs, and then the systems come back into balance. So we get asked so many times, well, I have this issue, you know, will it fix this? Well, I have this, will it fix this? Please take note, if you have any imbalance, for example, like with the liver problem, a heart problem, blood sugar problem, if there's any kind of an imbalance, when you're repairing at the cellular level, it eventually repairs all of those different levels. And that's what we call renewal science.
Excellent. So probably the most critical or important cell to renew and regenerate is working with the stem cell. And this is the cell that starts to really lose its effectiveness and lose its number as we age. And with StemRenu, we're able to enhance that. But let's talk about the stem cell specifically, why it's so special. If you see, it has the ability to reduce inflammation, as you look at that photo there on the left side of the screen. And the next photo is the immune system, the white blood cells expressing themselves and protecting the body. So it enhances the immune system. But the thing that really fascinates everyone about stem cells is their ability to turn into any other type of tissue in the body. It can become a kidney cell, a liver cell, a muscle, bone, fat, cartilage. Doesn't matter. The stem cell is designed to transform into any other type of tissue in the body, and at the same time make another stem cell. So it has the ability to replicate itself and turn into any other type of tissue. And this is what gives us our longevity, and this is what StemRenu focuses on.
So when you look to the right and you see that stem cell bank that's self-replicating, that's the bank that Dr. Chris is talking about. As we age, when that signaling starts to decline, if we don't activate those stem cells, that stem cell bank declines. That's where we're talking about only living to the potential of 80. But at any age, you start reintroducing the signals back into the system and activating those stem cells, then once they get activated, they start again to replicate. So at any age, you can continue to rebuild that bank. And what's interesting is when we start rebuilding that bank, that stem cell bank, that's where the longevity comes in. We can live to 120, healthy and happy. So I love to give an example of going to the bank, because what if or you go to the store, excuse me, go to the store, or people don't even go to the store anymore. They go online and you buy something. So let's say that you go online and you buy something, you're using your money, and every time you use your money, the bank puts the same amount of money back into your account. Not only that, but you also get the rewards of whatever it is you purchased. That's very similar to this. If you don't use your money, all of a sudden your bank account is just going to kind of decline, okay? So it's kind of a fun metaphor to be able to use those stem cells, activate them so that they replicate at the same time, continuing to replenish that bank.
I love that. Use it and it replenishes itself. So go for it, everyone. Let's talk about how that looks in the body. So you see a cell that's in need of repair there on the left side. And when it's damaged or traumatized or stressed, it sends out a signal. And those are the signals that are picked up by the immune system, the defense system in the body. So the immune system sends out those cytokines. Remember, those are those signal molecules we talked about from the immune system. And the cytokines activate communication throughout the body, but specifically for repair and regeneration, it goes to the bones, because in the bones is where we store, that's our stem cell factory. The bone marrow is where we make our stem cells. And those stem cells are then triggered to release. And as the trauma or the situation demands, then you have a greater release or this orchestration that goes on for how to repair the body. Up until now, naturally, we were able to stimulate this immune response and to repair the bones, but we never had a way to activate those stem cells that are released, because just because they're floating around in the body, as they always do, doesn't mean that they're doing their repair work or sending out their own signals. So the discovery of the incubated egg extract, this very unique form of egg, has the ability to activate these stem cells, and then you get this cellular repair. So we just want to give you a little bit of a graphic to show you how that works.
And an example, when we were talking about my Uncle Richard, we had been working with him with all of the ingredients except for the egg extract. When we introduced that egg extract, that's when he started to reverse and repair at a more accelerated rate. So we have 5 ingredients in StemRenu, and as you can see, they look very common. You know, we have the aloe vera, the shark cartilage, the egg, the marine minerals, and the green tea extract. Those are all very common ingredients. However, what makes them so unique and different is where we source them and how we extract them. That creates the concentration and how therapeutic they are. And they're all either organic or wild crafted. And then we synergistically combine them to make them the most effective.
So not only do we enhance this repair and signaling, but we facilitate the environment. So you have things like the shark cartilage that open up the communications for these signaling molecules, and you have the green tea extract and aspects of the aloe that facilitate the antioxidant and the protective effect within the tissue and the alkalizing effect of the minerals. So we're going to get into this repair system, but all 5 of these ingredients work together in a very unique way to create the environment to facilitate this process. So the first ingredients we're going to explain is this marine mineral complex, and this is the stem cell factory, because this is the only natural formula that has been clinically shown to increase bone density. And what that means is that most of the remedies out there, even in medicine, we only have the ability to kind of slow down the process, or in some ways, prevent the destruction. But here we have a natural food source that has the ability to actually repair the bone. And when you repair the bone, you make good bone marrow, and good bone marrow makes good stem cells. So we're building up that stem cell factory. And we've got 1 year and 7-year studies that show this. And every day that you take StemRenu, you're building your tissue integrity, and most importantly, the bone tissue.
And the bones tend to be the longest thing to renew. It takes a very long time, but we have seen incredible results within just months of using StemRenu with bone density increasing.
And next we have a very unique form of aloe vera gel extract. And it's important that you know that it's the gel, because the leaf itself has some very strong, powerful chemicals, but they're very reactive to the body. And actually, they're so reactive, they're used sometimes as a to relieve constipation. They irritate the system. They're used as a laxative, exactly. But we just used the gel. This is the healing portion. This is the portion that has made aloe vera famous over the thousands of years now. Every culture knows about aloe vera and its healing properties. And the reason for that is that because it has very specific sugar molecules. We call them biological sugars, not sugars that help sweeten things, but sugars that help the communication. The actual antenna on those receptor sites are made up of these biological sugars. And also the aloe vera modulates the immune system. And this is the part that really stimulates that release of the stem cells from the bone marrow and into the tissue. So you see this defense protective mechanism that the aloe vera produces for the body, and it does it by enhancing the receptivity of the communication, and also modulating this immune system to activate the repair and regeneration and defend the body.
And then we have this next ingredient from Norway. We source it from Norway because of their pristine environment. Dr. Chris talked earlier about we have all these stem cells in the body, and they are floating around, and yet they're not activated. Okay, that's that signaling that truly starts to decline rapidly after the age of 21. So we introduce this egg back into the body, and it activates those stem cells. But back to Norway, because we go to Norway, we are able to use an egg that comes from a farm that doesn't have to use hormones, doesn't have to use antibiotics, and they only use 1 vaccination per hen. This is clearly very important, because everywhere else in the world, there's a lot of farming practices that offer up a lot of diseases, and you have to, vaccinate anywhere from, like in the United States, 12 to 22 times per hen. Now, this is important because this keeps our egg, our ingredient, extremely clean, but it also allows us to have a fertilized, incubated egg up to 10 days. And that's important because these signals, these protein signal molecules are highly concentrated. Once they reach the 10 days, then we're able to extract this egg white, this highly concentrated signal protein ingredient, and dry it without destroying these highly concentrated proteins. So this is that one ingredient that we were able to finally introduce to Uncle Richard that, again, reversed a lot of the things that he was working.
And in working in natural medicine, it's just so great to see something that's antibiotic-free, hormone-free, and just
Organic.
so clean, organic.
Exactly.
And boy, one of its key features is its ability to handle what breaks down the body the fastest, and that's stress, right?
Yes. No matter where we are, no matter what our audience is, the common denominator is this: we all have accelerated stress. So we see different things in different regions, but when we're talking about stress, we're talking about not only our own physical stress, we have emotional stress, we have environmental stress, we have stressors that we can't even see that are affecting all of us. So did you know that underlying stress is the cause of all disease? And a little bit of stress is okay. And it's actually really motivating if we have a little bit of stress. However, when we have a lot of stress or accelerated stress, it becomes very deadly. And when we have stress, when we experience it, it releases a hormone in the body called cortisol. Now, too much cortisol can actually break down collagen 10 times faster, causing wrinkles and accelerated aging. And believe me, that's the other thing that everyone, when we're traveling anywhere, they say, oh my gosh, you know, I don't want to age. I don't want to look older than I am. And so too much cortisol can also imbalance our blood sugar. It actually steals body or energy from our body. It makes us even more tired. And then it excretes this this cortisol, creates this excess fat that we can carry around the belly. So StemRenu has been clinically proven to reduce stress as much as 50%. And that is key, that is critical. And we showed this by measuring the cortisols in athletes.
Exactly. And one of the quickest ways to determine if something deals with stress, you go to an athlete who puts himself through extreme stress in their training. And in the late 90s, when the studies were first done on this egg extract, it showed this reduction that Tina's talking about, that it helps to mediate stress by as much as 50%. And we see that today. And something that we want to share with everyone is that this last winter, if any of you followed the Winter Olympics, you saw that the country that won the most medals was Norway. Interesting. And guess what the athletes in Norway have been using for the last two Olympics?
That's what they have access to. Yes, yes.
And they had more medals than the US and the Canadians and the Russians. So here's this tiny little country that has this incredible secret. And something we want to share with all of you out there in NHT land is that this is an exclusive ingredient and formula to NHT only. So if you know any athletes that want to compete or perform at the highest level, or do something in the next Winter Olympics, get in touch with them with StemRenu, because StemRenu has that ability to not only reduce the stress of their training, but enhance the performance and the building of the body that they're trying to do with their exercise and training.
Not only that, but when we were talking about traveling, when we travel, when you have excess stress, you can take more of the StemRenu in order to balance and help you through those stressful situations. And we'll talk about that a little bit further.
Yeah, and here's what it looks like in the body when we experience stress. The body responds first through an excretion phase. It's like, you get something in your eye and you get a tear. You exercise, there's this, perspiration and irritation on the lining of the throat or the lungs, you form mucus. This is called the first phase of the stress cycle, the excretion phase. And if the stress continues and it isn't relieved by just this tearing or this watering or excretion of fluids, then the tissue becomes inflamed. It starts to get red and it gets inflamed. And over time, If that stress continues, this is where the tissue breaks down, it hardens and it develops growths. So when you see any type of cyst or tumor or a hardening of the tissue, this is a long-term stressful condition that existed for a considerable amount of time. And ultimately, that part of the body will break down and either becomes numb or atrophied and doesn't function anymore. And this is the extreme dynamic of the stress cycle. But when you can relieve that stress and you have a fortification that helps the body regenerate itself, it can reverse. And this is what many people experience with extreme stress and trauma. When they start to take StemRenu, the cycle reverses itself. And something that was numb or had no feeling and wasn't working anymore, all of a sudden, those sensations of communication come back into the body and they feel tingling or itching or sometimes even pain, but the body's coming back to life again. The tissue often becomes inflamed and reddened as if it were just beginning to get stressed. So you see a reversal of this cycle, and ultimately we've seen tissue repair and regenerate to its ideal form as if it were young again.
And there's another system that's really important that really loses the ability to function optimally, and that is our detoxification system. So as we age, that tends to get a little more challenging for our bodies. So some people, when they take StemRenu, their body begins that renewal process and it starts to remove the toxins from the body. So we get excited when people say, well, I don't feel so great because, I started taking StemRenu. We go, well, it's awesome. That means that your body is now cleaning out those little crevices that have been, storing toxins, and it dumps into the bloodstream. You tend to not feel so great. This is just a normal response. It doesn't last very long, but it's just kind of, you have an option. You can take more StemRenu and it can be a little more intense and you can get through it in a shorter time, or you can slow the process down by just slowing down on how much you take, and it'll just take a little bit longer and the symptoms won't be so heightened during that time. We also tell people, just make sure you're drinking a lot of pure water, you're getting rest, listen to your body when you're going through this retracing stress cycle, and really pay attention. If you need sleep. If you need, to get up and move, make sure you do that. So
it's incredible because your body's going from weak to strong, from non-functional to functional. So this is why we get excited and applaud the situation, and we love to have the other support products from NHT to facilitate this.
Absolutely. So again, this phase just lasts very temporarily. Just work through it, and then on the other end of it, you'll experience even more vitality. So we talked about a lot of these key benefits, but one of the things that is also very common for people all around the world is that they're not experiencing naturally that deep, deep sleep. And this is so important because when we're locked in a stress cycle, when we have too much cortisol in our system, what it does is it causes us to stay awake at night. We don't get into that deep, restful sleep. And we need to be in that deep, restful sleep in order for the body to heal and repair itself. So once you start taking StemRenu, we find that a lot of people are able to get into that deep sleep. That means you've unlocked that cortisol cycle. In other words, the cortisols are starting to come down. They're starting to lower. All of your good youth hormones are starting to come back up. And that's a great rebalancing. So if your cortisols are too high, your melatonin can't come up. But when the cortisols come down, the melatonin can kick in again.
Right. You see the DHEAs and the estrogens and testosterones coming back and all those things that rebuild the body. So how do you take StemRenu? Well, I think before we get into that, let's talk about the ingredients. The ingredients are foods. These are 5 ingredients that have been consumed for thousands of years by the many cultures of the world. So know that it's very safe. This is why we say if you experience something that's uncomfortable, it's not because of the StemRenu, it's because of what's coming out of your body. You're giving it such good food that it has the energy again and the ability to repair and regenerate itself. So it's very safe. We recommend it for all ages as soon as a child's able to take solid food. So anywhere from 2 to 102 StemRenu is good for you. And on the bottle, we recommend 1 to 2 capsules on a daily basis to start rebuilding and repairing all those systems. But again, it's according to stress. If you have more stress in your day or in your life at that time, increase it to 3 or 4 and just know that there's no contraindication because you're taking food that's very safe. But some people with very chronic degenerative conditions have taken as much as 6 to 8. But we tell them work up slowly because you start turning on all these switches that have been turned off for years. So do that gradually, and you'll find that you'll adjust to the amount of the StemRenu, and as you take 6 or 8 a day, it's really going to enhance that regeneration process.
Well, the only thing too with children, people ask, well, how can I give this to my child? And we just say, open the capsule and go ahead and put it in cold food. You want to make sure it's not hot food. Mm-hmm. Mix it in, and then that's how you can give it to your child.
Yeah, good yogurt or applesauce, and it does fine.
I'll tell you a little secret. I have to tell them a secret. If you want healthy, glowing skin, 4 StemRenu a day.
You get that baby skin again.
That's right.
After taking StemRenu for these many years now.
So now let's talk about, you know, the power of the synergy between what we have with StemRenu and the other NHT products. In our practice, and how most of naturopathy has worked, is we work on, you know, what's missing in the body, because everybody is so different. We would focus on, okay, if there's something missing, then let's go ahead and replenish that nutrient, and then we would get a good result. Now, this is kind of the reason why we would have so many people try certain formulas and they'd say, well, I'm not experiencing anything. Well, maybe they're not deficient. So that's how we did our practice for so many years. But once we understood and we knew that we had access to activating our stem cells again, we incorporated StemRenu, or we created StemRenu from a renewal science perspective. So what StemRenu does is it works on all of your systems. It's not just focused on the digestive system, the circulatory system. It's focused on wherever your body needs to repair. And when you partner StemRenu with the other products, the replenishment products with NHT, now you have the whole puzzle together for that health and longevity that you can have up to the age of 120.
So remember, again, we're working on the cellular level, and it's on the cellular level that StemRenu is an architect. So think of it as a way to reconstruct and develop the body, and you're given the blueprint and the blueprint instructions with StemRenu, and also it enhances that communication. The receptor sites, the antenna on the cells, are being repaired so it can receive these signal molecules, the communication that's facilitating that. And this is why when we focus on the cellular level with StemRenu and give formulas like the omega-3 fatty acids that facilitate the cell membrane, or the Restore that has the ability to bring in those electrolytes, the calcium magnesium balance and sodium potassium balance within the cell that facilitates its function. These all work together synergistically. So you see, take advantage of the full spectrum of the NHT products, and you'll see when you give StemRenu as the architect, you're going to get more out of the nutrition, and also you're going to get much, much more out of the fortification that you're taking.
Exactly. Everything is going to work more effectively. You're going to get the best use out of all of your nutrition if your cells are functioning optimal. And so we are excited to come to Sweden and Finland and Ireland and Germany. We are really hoping we could be there much longer, but we're going to be so busy and moving quite along rapidly. And so Sonia, we want to thank everyone and open it up for any questions that they might have.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris and Tina. That was amazing, as always. And Chris, I know you were talking about the athletes in Norway, and I just can't let this go without mentioning our very own athlete here in Ireland, Geraldine Finnegan, who has been taking StemRenu and has had some amazing, amazing results. She is the most medalled athlete in the world, and she just competes in incredible competitions, pentathlons, heptathlons. She's going to one shortly, and I know it was 14 events. She just recently won the world's competition in Madrid, and she's a testimonial herself to StemRenu. She's unbelievable, and I'm sure she's going to be at our Dublin event. But in terms of athletes, she can certainly she's walking living proof of what you're saying, and we have her here in Ireland, and we're so proud of her. We have so many testimonials that I could literally be here forever talking about the various results that people have had, and we've seen them with our very own eyes, whether it's bones and joints or teeth or vision or energy, people sleeping better, stress, definitely helping people with memory. I mentioned this to you before, Tina, but I actually have people who would ring me to borrow maybe 8 capsules because their order hasn't arrived. So they just can't even wait to get their order. They don't want to be without it for a day or two.
We can relate.
Yeah. So I do have one lady here beside me, and she's had an incredible, I'm going to ask her to give her own testimonial because she has her own story, and this is amazing, and it's something that I've been asked, does StemRenu help with, by quite a lot of people, and we have seen this ourselves with our very own eyes. I'm going to introduce you to Linda, and Linda had a problem with psoriasis, but she's going to tell you her own story here now. So Linda, welcome.
Hi. Hello. Hi guys. That's my first time ever doing a webinar, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm a little bit nervous. But, yeah.
Okay, you're just going to want to get closer to the speaker. You're breaking out a little bit.
Is that better now, Tina?
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, just briefly to give you a wee bit of an insight into my story. It was this time last year. I was actually very unwell. I had a chest infection. I had tonsillitis, and a very, very, very ill, difficulty breathing. And the doctor put me on an antibiotic, and it didn't shift my chest infection. He gave me a second antibiotic, and it wasn't working. And I was actually getting very, very stressed and very worried that I might have developed pneumonia. The third antibiotic, thank God, did clear the chest infection, and that was fine. About 6 weeks after that, I noticed these little red dots appearing all over my body. It's kind of like measles. My body was covered in red dots, pin dots all over the body. So I went back to the doctor and showed him the rash, and he said to me, yeah, Linda, I know what that is. That's a very rare form of psoriasis called good tape psoriasis. He says very, very common after getting a septic throat or a big bout of stress. And I thought, oh gosh, right, so what can I do to cure it, you know? And he gave me a lot of creams and a lot of lotions and steroid lotions, and I tried everything, to be honest, and nothing worked. I actually think it got worse, to be honest, using the creams, so I just stopped using them in the end. So it was actually Sonia that introduced me to the StemRenu and thought, you know, you should give it a try, and told me to go away and research it and give me all the information on the StemRenu. So at this stage, I was actually desperate. I would have tried anything really to help. And I'd say it was around Christmas time, Sonia, I started to take it, yeah. Within 2 months, I noticed the rash fading, and I couldn't believe it, could not believe it. And now 4 months later, the rash is totally gone. And I'm just on cloud 9. I mean, I was so depressed. I mean, but it affected my whole life, that psoriasis. I mean, I was in the gym 5 days a week, and I stopped going to the gym because my body was covered. It affected my personal relationships, just my well-being in general was really, really bad. So I suppose I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Dr. Chris and Tina, for StemRenu, because it's really helped me in my life and it's changed me. So thank you.
Oh, you're
welcome.
very welcome, Linda, and we're
Thank
just
you.
so excited for your results. And it just speaks to the dynamics of StemRenu, because you have a condition that essentially is the immune system that's overreacting and creates this inflammatory response, as well as this rapid cell growth. It's instead of the natural cycle of the cell regenerating, it's overactive. And it shows the ability of these natural substances in StemRenu to modulate. So if your immune system's going too high, it brings it down. If it's going too low, it enhances it, it strengthens it. And in your case, the stress, which again, StemRenu is able to modulate, brings it down to give the body a better enhanced, better chance to deal with its condition. And also, this growth of the cells out of control, this is repaired. So you see the cellular communication start to go back to its natural form and its natural state. And when you deal with conventional medicine, they either suppress the immune system to stop it, or they shut it down, or some way to try to control and regulate rather than bring back its natural process. And oftentimes, individuals are confused because of the signal molecules that come from the egg. They were first called growth factors, but that's because they were shown to enhance the growth of cells in a petri dish. But if the cells are growing out of control, it slows them down. If the cells are not growing fast enough, it speeds it up. So you see this modulation, and this is one of the secrets of using natural substances. So natural substances have the ability to work with the body and bring it back to its normal function. So we've got some questions coming in. Does that help you though, Linda, to appreciate what you've experienced? And we so thank you for sharing your situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thanks again. I really do appreciate it. I've been sharing my testimonial and with some photographs maybe to follow after this of the before and after. So maybe Sonia and I get that together after.
Yeah, we're going to put together a proper testimonial from Linda, because we have the photographs of her skin before she started taking the StemRenu and after, and it's incredible. And I have this myself.
Wonderful. And another thing that we've experienced with chronic conditions, and even like things like autoimmune conditions like the psoriasis, is that people will start to get relief by taking StemRenu, because again, it facilitates this modulation and this repair of the regulatory system. But they don't realize that this architect is grabbing all the building blocks in the body. And unless we're incorporating good food and good nutrition, these things will come back, because the architect exhausts all the building materials, and how can you repair or build a new house or a new body without the bricks and mortar and wood and everything that it requires? So when we were looking for a company to bring StemRenu to, we were excited about NHT, because it has this incredible line of support products. So the nutrition was there for us to bring StemRenu as the architect to deal with all the good supplementation.
Exactly. We love the full suite of, we've got the omegas. StemRenu always works better when you have the omegas in your body. It always works better if you're taking a great antioxidant. It always works better, when you're supporting it, because again, it needs those building blocks to be able to do its job. So make sure, that you continue taking the good nutrition, you keep the good, the food, diet, lifestyle habits. Those are all truly incredible to keep moving forward. And so one thing that we talk about with StemRenu is that it's such a catalyst for you to be able to make lifestyle changes, because, even over time, you know, if you're getting preservatives in your body, you're getting, you know, things in your system that, you know, are unnatural, you want to start weaning those out because your body needs to be clean, you know. So this is a great way when you have the ability to make a shift like Linda has, to continue that by making really good diet and lifestyle changes. And then you'll stay good and healthy and clean going forward.
Yeah, again, usually when something pops up while people are taking StemRenu, think of it as a diagnostic. As an architect, it knows how to fix and repair the body. But if something's missing somewhere, it'll, you know, really
It'll show you
exactly where you need the extra support. So here's where you learn about the NHT products, work with the distributors, and they'll help you really find the next best product to join up with StemRenu. Any other questions?
There was one here, but it's to do with.
Yep, I think we answered that one.
We got that one.
Yep.
Okay. There were one or two others, but I don't see them now. I'm sure if people have questions, they can send them into us, and we can forward them on to you guys. And
or they could come see us in Europe next
Yes.
month.
Well,
Yes. Can't wait to see all of you.
that was going to be my next little presentation, or what I'm going to say here, because I know that we have had so many people here in Ireland and all around Europe just completely and totally had so many amazing results taking not just the StemRenu, a lot of the NHT Global products, but the StemRenu is one that's just kind of taken the world by storm, and it's helped so many people in so many different areas. It's, as I say, to be here giving testimonials forever. We're so looking forward to you. I know we're going to have the pleasure of
Sonia, you're breaking up there. Sonia.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, there you go.
I'm just saying, we're so looking forward to having you here in Europe, and I know we're lucky enough to have Dan Caddo, Global Ambassador, NHT Global. It's going to be on tour with you, and of course we'll have the amazing and fabulous Antonella Rispoli, the NHT Global European Director, with us as well. So it's going to be a great opportunity for people to come and meet you and hear all about StemRenu and be there in person, because this product is just incredible. So people are saying welcome to Sweden. As I say, we've had people on the webinar from all around the world. So I would like to, I suppose, just thank you once again for taking the time to do this webinar, Chris and Tina. As always, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Can't wait to see you here in Dublin, and hopefully the weather won't be too bad when you get here. And just finally, just to say that this webinar has been recorded, so we'll have it up. It'll be up in Steam Team in the next day or two. And thank you all once again, and have a great weekend.
Thank you all. Thank you, Sonia.
Looking forward to seeing you.
Bye now.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.